Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting WARNO Deck Deep Dive, this time featuring the 5th Bundeswehr Panzer Division, which is a division that I must say I have come around 180 degrees on. Even with the changes to the Leopards, which I still don't like from a flavor perspective, but they are really strong, and there is a gameplay with these guys that is really exciting. We're gonna go into that in a second. Before though, quick shout out to some community events coming up. We have the WARNO Monthly March coming, starting at the 11th of March. Welcoming everybody once more. Gonna be a split into a freshman and the veteran division. At this time, it has a really cool rule set. The polar opposite of our deck deep dive format, because you will try to build a deck as bad as possible and give that to your opponents, and they will have to try to beat you with the terrible deck that you created for them, but you have to play theirs as well. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Veterans and freshmen once more split, so you will gameplay wise have similar opponents as well. All the rules here you can find as well. And then we have the 5th SDL charity tournament coming up on the 17th of March, where we will once more hold a charity tournament supporting Action Against Hunger with a fundraiser, whilst having some fun with WARNO. And the WARNO event will be on the 17th of March with a single elimination tournament. So sign up for that as well. Everybody welcome there to join as well. And then the last thing is the top 5 community votes, where we will have the first list next week. And yeah, please help out filling there a bit more information. We already got a good couple of submissions. The more the merrier though. So yeah, find the information for that down below as well. And let's jump into the Bundeswehr here, and let's start in the logistics tab as always, which is a pretty good tab here. You have the Mancut 6x6, which you already found in my top 5 logistics units. Really nice supply truck, 2,500 supply coming to the front line, really helpful there. Unimog, really cool unit as well, but absolutely standard. And then the Fuchs as a CV unit here, because we have 6 CVs with some infantry and some tanks CVs here. So and they are a bit armored, have a weapon as well, which is not too important though, but the extra armor is what puts these above the Iltis in my eyes here, whilst the M577 is just too slow. So infantry wise, this is where this deck actually really makes click in my eyes at the moment. And that's, yeah, the Panzer Grenadier leader here. Pretty standard in a Marder, decent, relatively cheap IFV. Pretty helpful there. But we already start here with the interesting units, as we have Transport Panzer Fuchs over here. And that is, at the moment, really, really helpful, especially combining with the Leo 2s, as the Milan 1, not a great damage dealer, but it does enough suppression to really make enemy tanks inefficient when you get towards them with your tank. And that's the big thing you want to use these Transport Panzer Fuchs Milans to spam at the enemy and keep them busy, keep them occupied, keep their units in front of an armored unit that throws ATGMs at them, whilst your Leo 2s come around and deal with them. So the combo of Transport Panzer Fuchs Milan and Leo 2 really strong. We have a couple of Martyrs with some Panzer Grenadiers here around as well. That's just so you have some more Martyrs, but as you can see, we have a lot of Transport Panzer Fuchs Milans here with different units inside of them, just to have that wave of ATGMs for a 25-point unit. That's kind of the cheapest ATGM that you can get in-game, and that's really the key here. Getting as many cheap ATGMs flying towards the enemy, stressing them out with a relatively high suppression, and just getting them really occupied. Artillery tab, all about the suppression as well. The 155mm can deal pretty nicely with enemy ATGMs, so that your Leos don't suffer the same fate. The Lars can be used for suppressing enemy tanks and then following them up with your Leos as well, or suppressing enemy infantry positions a bit as well. And then the Mars can kill off enemy tanks that stand still too long as well. The ATGM missiles here now, the ATGM rockets, relatively efficient as well. Mars, pretty good unit there, especially as the resupply cost is still pretty low here. And yeah, tanks, it's all about those Leo 2s, Leo 2A3 and Leo 2A4 coming around, plus a couple of cheap M48s just for infantry support, because your infantry is one of the weaker ones. And then the Jaguar twos here as your ATGM vehicle to put inside with your other ATGM vehicles a bit, and also just having something with 25 penetration to really kill the upper end of enemy armor, to actually have something to follow that up with. With the 6 frontal armor, it also can be nice around the Fuchs Milans with an ATGM vehicle that actually survives the hit when they would die. So Jaguar 2 here, nowadays for 70 points, a fantastic unit with their decent stealth stats, their frontal armor that makes them survive a shot, and a 25 penetration TOW 2, which is always fantastic and always has been. So really good addition here as well. And then Recon Tab, pretty standard. Obviously somewhat weak in comparison to others, but the looks at least gives you an autocannon for the early game, though the shorter range does hurt a bit, but it helps out with infantry pushes at the beginning. Fernspeer, decent DPS thanks to the MP5s as well, and the double rifle here. Like, these guys can deal with enemy infantry decently as well if in defensive position, and the GSR obviously helps. And then the Jägeraufklärer is a beefy squad which can hold the line until other units arrive. So decent enough, not great, but they do what you need them to do. AA, kind of the same thing. Roland and Gepard actually pretty powerful. Gepard fantastic against helicopters. The Roland also good against helicopters, but great against planes as well. You just have to keep them microed. And then Fliegerfaust with veterancy nowadays. Yeah, the accuracy is still not great, but it's decent, and especially against helicopters, the Fliegerfausts nowadays do their job just fine as well. Helicopters, purely defensive units. Since they lost the Apache, that was a loss. Real line action, still a bit hard to punish, but having these guys around for some ATGMs on the flank when the enemy doesn't have an AA around to push with, they can stop an enemy push for relatively cheap, so that's quite nice as well. And then the air tap is actually pretty strong. Tornado Cluster and Tornado HE nowadays are pretty strong little planes again, and the F4F rocket is at least a pretty solid addition now to deal with enemy real line action, though that's still one of the weaknesses of this division for sure. F4F with double fire AM9Ls here, pretty solid at stopping enemy suicide planes and enemy helicopters as well, like especially against helicopters for 155 points. The F4F rather efficient, so that's a good addition as well. But yeah, the air tap especially built around the tornadoes, which can deal with anything with their bombs. They really deal a lot of damage to the ground units, and they can also defend themselves decently with 30 ECM and AM9Ls if any enemy plane comes too close to them and tries to do a head-on. The double Mauser there, pretty helpful as well, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, let's put it into terms. The strength of this division is its armor penetration capabilities and its ability to build a spearhead around the layer 2A3s. One thing that it is also, like, yeah, it has a pretty decent air support tab as well. Those are for sure some strengths. Logistics tabs is allowing you to get through the game as well, is including artillery support. The weaknesses though, it is still not great with dealing with units behind your lines, especially after the loss of the Apache. And your infantry always needs support. Your infantry doesn't win a 1v1 fight, especially the Panzer Grenadiers themselves, with only 5 hit points at the moment, are really weak in that regard. So those are your two main weaknesses, dealing with units behind your lines and dealing in direct infantry on infantry fights. Your division is one of the weakest, so those are the weaknesses here. But in general, a lot of fun, and that spearhead strategy at the moment works really, really well. So absolutely loving this division at the moment. And yeah, if you want to check it out yourself, you can find it as always in the description down below. If you want to talk more about it, join the Discord. And yeah, see you all next time, guys. Bye bye, and thanks for watching.